Demi Moore, Woody Harrelson, Christopher Platt, a bunch of people that you know. The premise was this: young, struggling couple, financially strapped, gets a proposal from a rich, handsome bazillionaire, Robert Redford. Woody Harrelson and Demi Moore, $1 million, which would solve all their financial crisis, all their stuff, for a night with Demi Moore. Now, there were things written up, no sex, blah, 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 blah. This couple was in love, and of course, they backed into it. They did it. They did what people should never do. They just gave in for money. And guess what? Didn't work out for Woody Harrelson, didn't work out for Demi Moore, didn't work out for Robert Redford. But anyway, that movie has always stuck with me because it tells me everything is for sale. Players are for sale in college now with the NIL. We've always known that Major League Baseball and football and basketball and hockey, always for sale. Businesses, guys that start their businesses, and this is their lifeblood. This is what they got to have. They sell it. Why? Because everything's for sale. Neighbor of my buddy, guy walked up to him, said, look, I want to give you this for your house. He took it, then he realized, wait, what a mistake. Now he's living in a condo behind the Kroger. Everything's for sale. Don't think this is any different in the world of PGA Live Golf. Don't think for a second there is anything, and I mean anything in this world that is not for sale. You have a nonprofit organization, a 501c organization, the PGA Tour, that sold literally everything to the Saudis. No. Don't at me with this. Well, this is a partnership. No, this is not a partnership. And I got to tell you, I'm not blaming anybody. I am not blaming. You guys want to blame? You go ahead and blame. I ain't blaming. Money talks, BS walks. Colin Morikawa, well, nothing like having to hear about it on Twitter. Hey, Colin Morikawa, the reason you heard about it on Twitter is because a reaction like that on Twitter or Instagram or wherever the hell you post it shows that you are too immature. You're a child. You can't sit in these rooms. Well, nothing like hearing about it on Twitter. Yeah, shut up. Be an adult. Be a man. Walk like a man. Have some stones. Everything's for sale. This isn't a surprise. This isn't like, oh my God, I can't wait to talk to Ryan Burr because he's going to tell you that Jay Monahan, the commissioner of the PGA Tour, is the smartest guy in the world. He's the best commissioner in the world, and what was done here is better than anything that's ever done in professional sports. And he may be right. I mean, look, the biggest sport in the world is not football, is not basketball, is not baseball, is not hockey. What is it? Soccer. Why? International. What did this new move do? Made golf more international. That's what it did. And that, I think, is the reason that Ryan Burr is going to tell you what he's telling you. But I got to tell you, the problem that I have is that if you read what happened here, if you really pay attention and not just listening to players whining or players celebrating in Mickelson's case, if you really read what happened, the Saudi Arabians bought the PGA Tour. They bought it. I mean, read it. They bought it. They now control every aspect of golf. They control the entire world of golf outside of, I think, the PGA of America and the USGA. PGA of America runs your Club Pro. PGA of America runs the PGA Championship that we just watched. USGA runs the Youth Kit, USGA Golf, the US Open. If it is something about the United States, USGA handles it. You know, it is fascinating. They bought it all. They have first right of refusal. They basically said, how much is it going to cost? How much? How much is it going to cost for us to buy it all out? And it all out means this: no more lawsuits. And there is a lot, and I mean a lot of people that think, well, this was done because the PGA Tour was going to lose a lawsuit. I don't know. I have no idea. I've asked lawyers. My whole family's lawyers. I asked my brother, he's been following. He's like, Dan, I can't tell you who's going to win these lawsuits. He goes, a lot of times you can tell, but you can't. So everything's for sale, and don't think otherwise. All right, reaction. Here's Donald Trump. Here's Donald freaking Trump. Look at Donald Trump. This is a while ago. You can read there when this was. This was a year ago, July. All those golfers that remain loyal to the very disloyal PGA in all its different forms may pay a big price when the inevitable merger with LIV comes. And you get nothing but a big thank you from PGA officials who are making millions of dollars a year. If you don't take the money now, you will get nothing after the merger takes place, and only say how smart the original signees were. Good luck. Congratulations to a talented Cam Smith on his incredible win. This is a year ago. I don't know if we have the video from Joe Biden, but Joe Biden, who he was asked, he goes, I'm a PGA. I'm a PGA. What? This is somebody that is attuned to the world of business, to the world of American business right there. Now, you can hate Trump all you want, and did he say grab him by the... Yeah, whatever. But this is what he said a year ago, and that's pretty damn good. Our guy now, I'm a PGA. I put it on my Twitter account. I'm a PGA. What? What? The hell are you talking about? I'm a PGA. All right, there was a lot of reaction. My reaction is everything's for sale. I got to go to the YouTube chat. You know, the world is in shock. Here's a little video. Let's show the next video here. Here's a little something for you.
I was hugely disappointed. I think this is one of the saddest days in the history of professional golf. I do believe that the governing bodies, the entities, the professional entities have sacrificed their principles for profit.
Well, duh. Well, duh. The only human being you'll ever know that didn't was me when I went to West Virginia or me when I coached at Indiana. I mean, everybody else in this world does. And well, how's it worked out for me? Terrible. I should have taken profit. I should have let dudes smoke dope at Indiana. I should have said to hell with it at West Virginia and let everybody lose their damn minds. I mean, what the hell? But the fact of the matter is this. The fact of the matter is very simple. In every walk of life, in everything we do, people sell out for cabbage. Here's that tough guy SVP, Scott Van Pelt, who, by the way, has not said a single word, not a word, about Sam Ponder being attacked by Nancy Armour or about Sage Steele, his good friend. He's a coward, this guy. So you preach loyalty to a tour and convince guys not to take 8- and 9-figure deals based in part on that loyalty and in part on the source of the money. Then those guys find out on Twitter you took the very same money, always business, never... Look, I got to tell you, you can whine about this all you want, Scott Van Pelt and Colin Morikawa and anybody else that you would like to whine. Anybody that you want to whine, you go ahead and whine. But let me tell you one thing. You're an adult male. You're an adult male. You got some sack to you. I'm so tired of, well, they had to find out on Twitter. So what? So what? You got commissioners. So what? Well, they were loyal. So what? That's your fault. You know, you make decisions based on what it is that you know at the time. You make decisions based on your moral compass. You make decisions based on you being an adult male and understanding that, ladies and gentlemen, that decision may not be the right one. The world is full for adult men and women of tough decisions. There is no guarantee. We don't live in a world of candy apples, candy corn, and whatever, where everything is peaches and cream. No, we live in a world where adult men and women have to make tough decisions. We live in a world where those decisions don't always come out, and if they don't, you have no one to blame but your damn self. You were offered money, you made a decision based on what Monahan and the rest were telling you. A year later, that decision looks stupid, but hey, at least, because this is why you made the decision, at least you have your morals and your integrity. I'm telling you right now, have not lost one night's sleep over leaving West Virginia, have not lost one night's sleep over making the players at Indiana do the right thing, and both of them cost me jobs. Haven't lost one, but I live by the mirror. Most people don't. So I don't give a damn about what happens right here. If you made the decision to not go to the Live Tour as a professional golfer because of your moral compass, you should have no problem with this decision. Other than if you're going to play now in a tour, on a tour that is owned by the Saudis. There is no loyalty. There is no shame. You, as a golfer, stood up. Roy McIlroy, it's blood money. I'm not taking it. Good for you. That hasn't changed. That hasn't changed. There's nothing about that has changed. You stood up. The only thing that changes now is how deep are you going to go? How deep are you? Now you get really tested. Hell, I'm tested, and I'm trying not to get Anheuser-Busch to have beer at our golf tournament, but I'm struggling with it. Long story short, how are you going to respond now? I don't care that you were loyal and you got, in your mind, burned. You didn't get burned because it isn't about outside entities. It's about what's in here when you make a moral decision. I don't expect guys like Van Pelt to understand that. But I don't want to hear about, well, they had to find out on Twitter. Yeah, well, tough. Grow a pair, walk like a man, and shut the living hell up about it. That's just the way it is. I'm sorry. I am sorry. That's the way the world works. That's the way the cookie crumbles. You know what I'm saying? That's the way that, you know what? You don't like it? Tough crap. Seriously. Tough crap. You know, you make, why does every decision have to be, perfect? Well, I made a decision, it was the wrong one. You know how many people make wrong decisions every single day? Do you have any idea how many? Like everybody. But you're not allowed to as a professional golfer? Oh, okay. All right. What a bunch of garbage. And by the way, Van Pelt and others, why aren't you standing up for Sam Ponder? Why aren't you standing up for Sage Steele? Cowards. All cowards. I mean, complete and total cowards. I don't even want to hear from you. Hey, do we have the Doyle tweet? Now, the media, they called everybody bad people. Love that the PGA Tour, this is going back, has suspended 17 soulless ghouls taking the white sports washing cash to play the LIV Tour. I hope it stands up in court and every American turns their back on Phil Mickelson, Dustin Johnson, and the rest. This is another one of those idiots that when they decide they don't like somebody, they say the entire country should turn their back on them. And yet, 10 minutes later, this guy will be talking about, we'll live in peace and harmony, and look at my doggy, and we're all together. But the media is such freaking pieces of you-know-what in this. And this is just Doyle. We know his affliction-laden, ridiculous, lying, thieving, adulterous ass is the worst among us. But this is an example. We're all, because they don't agree, so now, I guess, in theory, we're supposed to turn our back on the entire PGA Tour and the entire world of professional golf. Sure. Oh, okay. Interesting. Mickelson, middle-aged white guy. Dustin Johnson, middle-aged white guy. Really? Shocking that that's who a rag like the far left-leaning Doyle and the far left-leaning Indy Star would come at. And of course that's who they come at. It's easy. Now what do you do, media? Now what do you do? The media has been now challenged. The media is now, hey, look, let's see what we got. I like what Jay Monahan said. Here's what Jay Monahan said. Jay Monahan's the commissioner of the tour. I sent you guys this text. I hope, there you go. I recognize everything I've said in the past, in my past positions. I recognize that people are going to call me a hypocrite. Anything I said with the information I had at the time. That's right. He's a total hypocrite. Of course he is. He looked at things and decided back then that this was grandstanding. See, all of this, and we're seeing this in the political world, all of this grandstanding eventually comes home to roost. You know, all this Biden grandstanding, you know what? I am the guy that doesn't make excuses. Well, all he does is make excuses. I'm going to unite. No, all he does is bring us apart. Grandstanding eventually comes home to roost. Eventually, it gets exposed. This dude was grandstanding, and the sickest part of it all was that he used people of 9/11 to do his grandstanding, and then he gave in. I'm just telling you, he used 9/11, and then he gave in. And that's disgusting. If you're going to use 9/11, you got to stand up. You got to stand up. Here's the 9/11 Families United. Mr. Monahan talked last summer about knowing people who lost loved ones in 9/11, then wondered aloud on national television whether live golfers ever had to apologize for being a member of the tour they do now, as does he. PGA Tour leaders should be ashamed of the hypocrisy and greed. Our entire 9/11 community has been betrayed by the Commissioner, Monahan, and the PGA. As it appears, their concern for our loved ones was merely window dressing in the quest for money. It was never to honor the great game of golf. You think? Don't you understand? Now, I don't want this to sound harsh, but 9/11 families, don't you understand the world that we live in? It wasn't too long ago where we were tearing down statues and we were outing people whose families zillions of years ago had slaves. Until what? Until we found out Kamala Harris's family has slaves, until we found out that Joe Biden's family had slaves. So guess what happened? It all shut down. 9/11 Families United, I feel so horrible for you. But I got to tell you, you got to know everything's a con. Everything going on right now is about pandering and grandstanding is a simple con. Everything you read out of our sports heroes, out of our media, it's all a con. Everything out of our politicians, it's all a con. I have no remorse for saying, and this is a little thing, on my Twitter page, hey, look, I was the first one to get that scoop. I wasn't, but I got no remorse. Hey, if you guys are going to do it, I'll do it too. I have the most hair in America. Nobody has more hair than me. Everything's a con. And to the families of 9/11, I feel awful for you because you did get conned. You got conned by a guy that was grandstanding. You got conned by a guy like our media does every single day, like our president does every single day. You got conned by a guy, Monahan, and a group, PGA Tour, that was pulling to the heartstrings of you, that was playing to the American way and had no substance behind it. That's what happened. And if you don't believe it, well, I don't know what to tell you because I see it every day. Every single day, our president gets up there and lies. Every single day, our people get up there and say whatever the hell they want to say in the media. Every day. Ghoulish is what guys are called. Boycott. I mean, look, there is never a time in this country, other than shows like ours, where, look, I may be wrong, but I'm going to give it to you straight, and I'm going to give it to you from the heart, and I'm going to give it to you as honestly as I can. But the amazing thing is this. We just move on to the next. So these families have, again, they have their day. I feel horrible for them. They have their day. Absolutely have their day. Now today, people are going to put that up there. Now today, people are going to, and you know what's going to happen tomorrow? We'll forget. You know what's going to happen in about 6 months? We'll forget. In fact, the LIV Tour, because of Brooks Koepka winning the PGA and because of what's-his-face over here, Phil Mickelson playing his brains out, that was big. That elevated. That made it legit. And that scared the PGA Tour. Look, we all know it's nothing more than a con. If everything was on the up and up, I keep going back to this, you'd see Scott Van Pelt, you'd see Matt Berry, you'd see all of these guys standing up for Sage Steele, standing up for Sam Ponder, but it's a con. They can't because, well, that would put me on the conservative side, and that, to me, would get me fired. How many times did I say me right there? It's all a bull crap con. And the only guy that thinks Jay Monahan did a great job in this is Ryan Burr, and we are going to talk to him coming up here at 9:30. And frankly, I can't wait. I think it's going to be awesome. Because Ryan Burr knows this tour as well as anybody. I'm not going to say better than anybody. He knows the ins or outs. He's been in meetings as a media member for ESPN, the Golf Channel. He, Chambly, Trevor Immelman, all these guys, he sat on sets. So he knows what's real. Look, Mina Kimes came on the other day. By the way, she's a freaking coward too. How does Mina Coward Kimes not help Sam Ponder not stand up for Sage Steele? Why? Because she's a coward. And always a victim and a coward. Anybody that's always a victim is a coward, and I got no use for him. Anyway, long story short, nobody knows what is real. What do I tell you all the time? I tell you all the time, ladies and gentlemen, all the time. There's always a backstory. Speaking of backstories, Mark Jones. Now, I don't understand. You guys probably don't know who Mark Jones is. Mark Jones is a nondescript. He's on the second team broadcaster who is married to a white woman, but he hates white people. People that have worked with him have sent me texts about this guy. So for some reason, Mark Jones has decided that he has a big-time dislike of our guy, Nikola Jokic, my Serbian brother. I don't care that Mark Jones doesn't like him. I care about the racism. And Mark Jones is one of those guys that you got to ask at least a question of, why is he putting out this stuff? Now, Mark is well known for saying he's afraid that white cops that escort him to football games are going to shoot him. Mark Jones has a long history of stupid. I work with Mark Jones. He's a nice guy, but he's incredibly stupid. And he is the John Morant of broadcasting. John Morant is trying to be something that he's not. John Morant is trying to be a tough thug type persona. Mark Jones is a suburban guy married to white women. But he's trying to be something that he's not. He sees cap money. He sees this. I guarantee you, 100%. He sees that, yeah, really, I've been at ESPN for 100 years. Nobody knows who the hell I am. I made a good living, but I need more than that, so I need to become an activist. We see it all the time. I need to become like a mouth. Well, you know, the truth of the matter is, when you live in the suburbs and your kids go to private school and you're married to a white woman, it's a little bit tough, but hey, not impossible. So this is Mark Jones's tweet. Mark Jones is not liking, what's his face? I can't get the tweet because Jones blocked me. That's the thing, bruh. I broadcast games seeing Rajon Rondo call out every opponent's set, literally every time down the court, even telling the guy he was guarding where he was supposed to be. That's great, man. I saw Brandon Pardon do that a lot for me. Good. That's great. That's awesome. What else we got from the great Mark Jones? The reaction was this, though. The reaction, because of who Mark Jones has become, yeah, he hates to see a white man cooking. We know that. Look, if this was the other way, if we saw dudes overly assaulting verbally or Twitterly black men, we'd say the same thing. Mark Jones does hate to see a white guy cooking because he is trying so hard to be Cap. He's trying so hard to be a voice. He's trying so hard to be somebody that people are paying attention to in the world of social justice. And you can't be what Mark Jones is and transition over there. Mark Jones, I mean, if I read to you the stuff that I got from people that work for Mark Jones privately, I never divulge private text unless I ask. It's the funniest stuff ever. What else we got on Mark Jones here? Keep him rolling. Just keep him rocking and rolling. Mark Jones hates white folk, unfortunately. I bet he agrees that Dirk is overrated too. Of course. Like, the worst thing about, like, being a white boy is what, you know, and growing up playing against the brothers, I used to kick their ass like it was my job. Every day, whether it was at Maryville High School, Broad Street in Griffith, we play at West Side, Wallace once in a while, Gary Roosevelt. I kicked the living hell out of them, and that was fun. Right? It was great. And you get the respect, which I guess people needed. I really didn't need it from the African-American players, the black players. But the last thing you need is the respect from a black broadcaster or white broadcaster. Who gives a rat's ass if some white dude on TV or some black dude on TV that never played or never coached thinks you're any good or not? Hey, Mark Jones hates white people. What are you going to do? Married to one. Kids are then by proxy are biracial. But hey, apparently he got a problem. He is white. Jones is a racist. Sadly, he is somehow still employed. Let me tell you something. ESPN is going to let go of guys like Chris Chelios, of women like Susie Culver, it has been reported, Steve Young. The Perkins, racist, Jones, racist, Bomani Jones, racist, are never going to get fired by ESPN because ESPN, oh God, there's my shadow, and that shadow says, hey, wait a second, somebody may go public and call me racist. Jones has shown, I'm not Nancy Moore. I hate calling anybody just a straight racist, but you got to admit, there is, a certain element of Mark Jones that certainly points that way. I've spent too much time on this idiot. I have. I'm looking forward to the NBA playoffs tonight. I'm not going to lie to you. I am so looking forward to the NBA Finals tonight. I'll tell you why. Because I want to see if, in fact, the Denver Nuggets are real. You know the Heat are real. You know the Heat culture is real. But in the NBA, there are building blocks, stepping stones to get to the NBA championship. And you kind of sort of have to go through them unless you buy a team LeBron, Bosh, and Wade style. But I'm anxious to see, is this team real? If the Nuggets are real, watch, they bounce back and win tonight. I'm just telling you, if they're real, if they are a real championship toughness medal, the Nuggets will win tonight. I'm not saying they're going to win. You can cut that out and say I said that. I said if they are medal. I've watched the NBA for years and years and years. I mean, I have watched it forever. And I got to tell you, it feels, unless you buy a team, there are always stepping stones. There are always, Jordan had to beat the Pistons. Knicks had to get through the Pacers to get to the final. I mean, the Pacers had to get, there's always stuff. Always. Anyway, all right. When we come back, Ryan Burr is going to join us, and he's going to tell you why Monahan is the best commissioner in sports. Are you kidding me? We'll be right back with Ryan Burr.
Daniel Penny, the former Marine who stepped in to restrain the violent vagrant Jordan Neely, is now looking down the barrel of 15 years behind bars for manslaughter. He was arraigned last week, put in cuffs, and made to do a humiliating perp walk, though he turned himself in, though he's been cooperated through the whole process, though what he did was in the defense of others. But Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg doesn't care. He's not a guardian of the law. He's an activist installed in his position by George Soros. Nothing more, nothing less. He doesn't make moves based on law. He makes moves based on the mob. And once again, the mob wins. And Jordan Neely's family, well, they hope to turn his death into dollar signs. Jordan Neely was a vagrant living on the streets. Where was his family then? Now they care? Convenient. That's real convenient. Neely has been struggling for years, has been mentally ill for years, and violent for years, and this time, it caught up to him. Did he deserve to die? No. But are subway passengers and good and decent people supposed to give a mentally ill man spouting death threats the benefit of the doubt? Should Daniel Penny have sat his happy ass down and waited for Neely to punch an elderly woman again? Or kidnap a child again? If Bragg did his job, New York City residents wouldn't be put in this situation in the first place. But Bragg is sending a message loud and clear. Do not mess with his mayhem. Do not question the lawless hellhole he's created. Do not be bold and do not be brave. Let it happen. Let the country go to hell and let innocent people pay the price. These liberals want men to devolve into purse-holding cowards. They want you all emasculated and neutered because real men are the last remaining barrier these communists must eliminate in their quest to destroy everything around us. Well, Daniel Penny did something. He stood up, he acted. So I stand with Daniel Penny and every other man who has the fortitude and the character to protect and defend the vulnerable. In a world full of cowards, be a Daniel Penny.
All right, I don't understand it, but he understands the game better than I do. Ryan Burr knows golf. Golf Channel, Ryan Burr ESPN. Ryan Burr has covered it. He has sat in on all the meetings. He's been around Chambly. He's been around Immelman. He's been around everybody that has an opinion. I got to know, Ryan Burr just said to me, it's the greatest day in the history of golf, and Monahan will be viewed as the best commissioner ever. All right, I assume you are not being facetious, so tell me what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, let's start, Dan, with yesterday certainly was a shock to many. If you had followed me on Twitter, you would have learned following Brooks Koepka's victory at the PGA Championship that I felt the first leg of the bridge was being built back between the two tours. So I'm not going to lie to you. I did see this coming. I didn't see it coming yesterday, but I did feel that we were moving in this direction. So I do think when it's all said and done, Jay Monahan, 20 years from now, will probably be called the greatest commissioner in the history of sport for what he just did for the game of golf yesterday. The announcement, in my opinion, yesterday is the greatest day in the history of the sport. What this means, big picture, I think is going to move the PGA Tour to a place that even Tiger couldn't take it. And I'll explain that in a minute. Here's the thing, folks. Saudi Arabia, they've got a lot of money. Actually, they have all the money. And if they wanted to buy the New York Yankees and the Dallas Cowboys and the Toronto Maple Leafs, they could. They chose to buy golf. If they wanted to own your NFL team, they could. Or your NBA team, they could. Because they have that kind of money that Jerry Jones and everyone else would get in line and give them the team because they have that kind of money. So, I'm kind of over the Saudi thing. I get it. They have all the money. If that is something that you're passionate about, I certainly respect that. And, not everyone has to put gasoline in their car. Bicycles are great modes of transportation if you choose to walk because you don't want to put gas in your car. Certainly, it might take you a little longer to get there, but I admire those people that take a stand, that are not willing to use gasoline. All right, so why is it the greatest day in golf?
Sure. Why is it the greatest day in golf?
Right. The reason it's the greatest day in golf is twofold. For one, bringing golf back together had to happen. He did it. But what is going to be lost on this, Dan, is where golf is going to go from here. And this is really why I think golf is the big winner yesterday. So they merged with LIV. Now, LIV was a little bit comical with the shotgun starts and the 54 holes and playing in shorts with the music blaring. We all get that. But what they did tap into was something that we've all seen. If you've ever done a Calcutta, betting on a team in golf is really about the most exciting part of golf. Anytime you play at a place that has a championship, there's a team and there's a Calcutta. I'll tell you what I envision. I envision that there will be between 8 and 10 team events. So let's just take this week at the RBC Canadian. I'm on the call on PGA Tour Live ESPN. Imagine if this was one of those team weeks where there's an individual leaderboard too, but there are teams of 4. And imagine that one of those teams of 4 are the 4 best Canadian players. Imagine the home field advantage in Canada this week of those fans betting on and getting behind their team. Imagine when the tour goes to Texas that the Jordan Spieth, Scotty Schefflers, and the Texans put their team together. Imagine the home field advantage. I see betting on the PGA Tour going to a level that no one ever dreamed golf would get to. The funny thing about golf, Dan, is we all bet on it because we all play it. But you really, the whole PGA Tour betting, I know you and I have dabbled in it, and it's okay to bet on an individual player. But when this team of 4 thing with a team name and it's an actual real thing, and you get to bet on a team, I'm telling you, this is going to take golf, and we all know, people watch the NFL because they bet on it. Golf on television is going to go to a place that it never dreamed it could be. Now, Jay Monahan, he needs to be commended. Here's the deal. Okay, everyone's like, oh, well, we have the, George Bush said he wasn't going to raise the taxes, and then he raised the taxes, and we all played the video, I won't raise taxes. Okay, Jay Monahan, here comes Liv, Dan, here comes Liv, and Jay Monahan is like, okay, well, we have to eliminate the competition. They have more money than we do. They're going to take all of our players. We need to do, what can we do to eliminate Liv? Well, let's play the moral card and say that they're bloodthirsty sports washers. Let's play the card that they can't get world ranking points, and maybe the major championships won't even let them play in those events. If we can get those three things to happen, then we can probably eliminate Liv. Okay. What do those three things happen? Well, they're allowed to play in the majors. Phil and Brooks finished second at the Masters. Brooks won the PGA Championship. So cross that one off the list. The world ranking things, it was going to happen, but with this lawsuit, which, by the way, would have cost the PGA Tour hundreds of millions of dollars, skeletons that you just don't want to come out of the closet with a federal investigation would have come out. Bad. That's all been avoided. And you saved yourself hundreds of millions of dollars. And here's the point that everyone needs to get past. Saudi Arabia now owns all professional golf. They own the DP World Tour. They own the Canadian Tour. They own the Latino America Tour. They own the PGA Tour. They own the Asian Tour. So where are you going to play? Like, they've got the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars. They own golf. If you want to say, I'm done with it because I don't believe what they stand for, like I said, I admire you never watching golf again. That is a great stance. Good luck. If you like golf and you like it on TV and you understand that Saudi Arabia is a part of our lives, good and bad, and it is part of us, our transportation with gasoline, it's part of our lives. And I'm not going to get political on this. I'm going to look because I love golf and I love my favorite player. And now I love my favorite team. And I love on Sunday at 4:00 to sit down after a week with the kids and a week at work. And I love to watch the PGA Tour. It's coming, folks. It is. Yesterday was the greatest day in the history of the sport. I see the popularity going to spots it's never been before, Dan. And the gambling which the tour has embraced, is going to go to a level that no one ever thought golf could go to.
I got to ask you, I don't think you made a compelling argument. I'm not going to lie to you. The gambling, okay, fine. Here's how I look at it. I think soccer is the most popular sport in the world. We all think football. Does this make, golf, does this expand golf across the globe?
Well, golf's already probably number two. It's probably the most popular to soccer. I'll give you soccer. Golf's already the second most popular sport in the world. China, it's number one. Australia, it's number one. Europe, it's number one. I mean, next to soccer, really, the United States is one of the few countries that golf is behind other professional sports. And obviously, it's extremely popular here. So the world game, golf has only been stronger, has been made stronger by yesterday's news. So while your point a little off base, I'm happy to educate you and explain that golf already, Dan, is in an unbelievable position worldwide. I give you soccer, but it's the second most popular sport in the world.
Yeah, no, I get all that. But my question is, does this help it explode across? That's one. The second is, I'm tired of players. So if you're mad or you feel like you were loyal to the tour because you stood up against blood money, shouldn't matter that what does it matter that the tour, you stood up for a moral reason. I don't want to hear these guys say, well, we got blindsided, we were loyal. No, you were loyal to a cause. You were loyal to not taking, in your mind, blood money. Adults, in my world, we have the hard decisions every day. You do the best with the information you can. The idea that players got screwed because of loyalty is crap. Look in the mirror, say you stood up against Liv, and that's all you should need. If, in fact, you made your bed or you made your decision based on not taking the, quote, blood money. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And the players, Dan, are going to be educated. The tour, they had to keep this quiet. So I know the tour's, a lot of players' feelings are hurt that they read about this on Twitter. I understand that. That wasn't a great way for them to find out what happened. Their feelings are hurt. They're going to sit down in a meeting, and they're going to find out that instead of playing for $5 million, they're going to be playing for $25 million and $35 million
Bingo!
and $45 million. And guess who's going to get over this real quick?
Right.
There's also some other options that there's also some other options that need to be decided. So sure, Hideki Matsuyama, probably he was the biggest guy to turn down Live with the most money on the line. It's $300 million. Well, Tiger, of course, turned down, we'll call it $1 billion. But let's just take Hideki. Hideki turned down $300 million to go to Live, to stay with the PGA Tour. I'm not against, as all these Live players that took the bag need to come back and apply for their membership back onto the PGA Tour. I'm not against a $25 million fee to come back and get their PGA Tour card. It costs if you went to Live, it costs $25 million to come back to the PGA Tour. Your options are, there's no one else in the world to play. You just got $100 million. We're going to take 25 and we're going to distribute it among the players that stayed loyal. Now, if you're not any good and you weren't offered a Live deal, you're not going to be able to take part in that piece because you're going to receive the benefit of these giant purses now anyway. So, but if you were off, and by the way, so now they're merged, we know who was offered and who wasn't. So if you're Hideki Matsuyama, Jordan Spieth, Rory McIlroy, you will receive a giant sum of money as these players pay a little bit to come back on the PGA Tour because you quote unquote stayed loyal. I mean, there's ways around this, but we're seeing Rory McIlroy right now. I mean, Rory McIlroy will be a billionaire one day, with or without the scenario I just gave you.
Let me ask you this. So basically, as I read this, the Saudi Arabian investment fund bought everything. So who cares? I mean, can't the Saudi Arabia investment fund say, look, you guys, Mickelson, you guys, Koepka, Dustin Johnson, you guys were loyal to us, so we're putting you back in every tour at no charge, because the way I read this, the Saudis bought golf. They bought it. They run it. It's their thing.
Now, they don't run it. That's also inaccurate. I'd love to educate you on that. So they bought the rights to it.
Please do.
Yeah, they bought the rights to it. They bought into the game. But part of this deal is golf will keep its integrity as far as, like I said, so golf's not going to be 54 holes in a shotgun start. Like, that's not happening. It's going to look like it looks. There's going to be advantages that we learned from Live, things that worked, things that didn't work. But Jay, or ultimately whoever the next commissioner is still going to be at the helm, and he's going to be the one that is, signing his name and checking off the guys as they come back to the PGA Tour. They have to reapply.
Look, AJ, this is, I forget the guy's name that was just put on the board of directors. AJ, this is whatever the guy's name is, who represents the investment fund. I want these guys back on the tour. There's nothing about Jay Monahan that says he's going to stand up to these guys and say no.
Okay,
hey, look, fellas,
great,
you want $25 million, I want $1 million.
Right. So they come back for free. That's wonderful, Dan. You win. They come back for free and they don't have to pay anything. They got their bag and they got back on the PGA Tour. The reality is Rory McIlroy is going to be playing for $35 million instead of $10 million.
Right.
And
that's
everyone wins, Dan. Everybody wins. It's the greatest day in the history of golf. Everybody wins, Dan.
All right, except this. Isn't the PGA Tour supposed to be a player-run tour?
That's always been the biggest problem, and that's what Phil said. Listen, what Liv certainly identified. I mean, forever, a PGA Tour player paid their own expenses. They paid their caddy. They paid their hotel. They paid their airfare. And if they missed the cut, they got zero. It was, you're an independent contractor when you play on the PGA Tour. What what ultimately one of the advantages that Lived helped bring to everyone's attention is that's ridiculous. The players are the stars. The players are the product. The PGA Tour is the best. It's the best tour in the world. These guys need to be compensated. Like if Patrick Mahomes, God forbid, tears his ACL and misses this entire season for the Chiefs, he still gets paid. If that same scenario happened to Rory McIlroy, there would be no money. I think that's changing. It is going to be a player league. Certainly Phil pushed for that. He didn't really, Mickelson didn't say it the right way. He said a lot of dumb stuff on his way out. But in the end, he was extremely intelligent about the fact that the players needed to be better represented. And ultimately, the players are going to be the biggest winners times a billion.
Agreed.
Thanks to yesterday.
Well, it already happened, right? It already occurred. I got to move on to something. My Colts suck. Not only do they suck on the field, and now they are getting guys investigated for gambling. How big do you think, you've been around this, how big is gambling in the NFL? How big a problem?
Listen, I mean, it's not that dissimilar than what we just discussed with golf. I mean, when you get in bed with the devil, and in this case, gambling's the devil, and the NFL could not be more in bed with the devil than they are. I mean, gambling runs the league. You talk about Saudis running golf, gambling runs the NFL. We all get it. Fantasy football. I mean, now it's legal with you could do it from your phone. If you really thought that this wasn't making it this easy, if someone in the NFL office didn't think that this was going to infiltrate into the locker room, they're insane. First of all, athletes at the top level, they do gamble. They gamble on themselves and they need that rush. That's ultimately why gambling happens with professional athletes. They need to try to simulate that rush, and they find it with gambling. And if anyone in the NFL office in New York City did not think that this was coming, then once again, they've got the wrong commissioner. DM me on Twitter. I'll think about being the commissioner of the National Football League. I could solve a lot of your problems. I'm not sure I'll take the job, but I'll at least listen to you, Dan.
Well, I agree. I mean, look, so the Colts now, not only do they have a crap organization, apparently, or at least on the field, but now they got a player investigator. I say this, look, $2.4 billion is what I read that the NFL makes off of gambling. Hey, look, you and I are sitting in the locker room, and you look at me, you go, you know what, I think the Phillies are going to win today. And so we bet on it in the locker room. I got no problem with that from NFL player. And I got no problem from them doing in the, quote, facility. You can't do it in the facility like this is church. This ain't freaking church. It's a football place. That's it. So it drives me nuts. Gambling is prevalent.
If you don't think there's 100 bets a week, when Ohio State plays Michigan and there's 4 players from Ohio State and 4 players on Michigan that are on the Colts, if you don't think there's something on that game for the last 50 years, you're insane. Of course there is. And there always has been. It wasn't as in our face as it is now. And probably even more importantly, as gambling has become legal and you can do it from your phone, it's now very trackable. Okay. I mean, no one ever accused, if there was a bet, post Art Schlichter, you could probably get away with it if you did it properly. I'm saying it, the Pete Rose, et cetera. Now that you're doing it on your phone, trust me, every person that's making a bet on their phone, they know who's making the bet. I mean, let's get that off the table. I mean, if you don't want to be caught, don't bet on your phone.
Yeah, I mean,
the other thing I'll give you, Dan, is and this is the last word on that about people being upset. I could give you a Saudi stock right now, okay? I can give you a stock, and I could tell you, Dan, that in the next 3 days, this stock is going to go up 600%. I promise you, okay? I'm going to give you the stock, and in the next 3 days, it's going to go up 600%. And every single person watching and listening will make the choice. Do I put a little something on this stock? Does this guy have any idea what he's talking about or not? Ultimately, you're pushing the button if you decide to buy the stock. And when it goes up 600%, you made money. And everyone that didn't is going to be like, I can't believe I didn't. Vice versa. Stock goes to zero. Everyone that decided to follow some clown on your show that gave them a stock tip, they just lost their money. Ultimately, it's on them.
I agree.
All you do is agree with me. All I hear is don't at me. There's real debate and real back and forth. And I come on, every time I come on, it's you saying, Ryan, you're right again.
I would go back into the archives and guarantee you, other than right now, I have never said, Ryan, you're right again. I would guarantee you. I said it from the get-go. I respect your opinion on this. I don't think you were nearly as tough on it as I thought you were going to be, but that's all right. You were a little soft. I'm not mad at you for it. There's nothing wrong with being a little soft. I agree with you. I agree with you. I do. I thought you were going to be a little bit more fired up. I thought you were going to be like more in your face, that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Listen.
No, I agree with you. There is nothing you've just said that I don't agree with. The players are going to make a boatload of money. We will move on to the next thing. I just said that we moved on. I showed a picture of the Fulbright fountain in the middle of the University of Arkansas. It's the centerpiece. You know who the first donor is? Some sheik from Saudi Arabia. I was there. I looked at it. So I'm totally with you. And I think that Rory McIlroy and all the players whining can kiss my backside. And they should have last year already gone out and kissed the backside of all the guys that went to live, because their purses, because of them going to live, got jacked up. And now the purses are going to get even more jacked up. And in 6 hours, no one's going to give a crap about who's funding any of it. They're just going to watch golf and bet on it. That's my take.
And for the people that want to ride this moral compass, which, like I said, I admire. If Rory McIlroy steps away from the game today and says, I will not be a part of this, I don't agree with what they stand for. The human rights it's a problem that I just can't play the tour anymore. I don't think that's going to happen.
Good for you.
The people on television and radio that played that card, that card's going to disappear. You're suddenly not going to hear it anymore. It's just going to disappear. Goodbye.
I'm the only human being alive that stood by his morals when I left West Virginia and $500,000, $3.5 million guaranteed to go back to West Virginia or to go back to Bowling Green for $100,000. And then I stood up to idiots smoking weed, not going to class at Indiana when every coach told me, you better not do that. You better just win games and then kick their ass off. So this guy right here, what has two thumbs and should be the moral compass of the entire United States? This guy. I got to run, my brother. Thank you. Love having him on. Bro. Love Burr. Love having Ryan Burr on. Ryan Burr is the freaking man. He's the man. Nah, look, listen, let's be honest. All this whining, sports washing, I got Christine Brennan and all these clowns. You know what? Truth of the matter is everyone's going to get fat. And if you're mad about Saudi money, I get it. I do. I swear. I feel terrible for everybody that lost anybody. Still, the hurt is there from 9/11. But you and I both know the way the world works. We'll find something else to bitch about tomorrow. And if you're going to get mad about Saudi money or you're going to be good, hey, this is why for 20 years I never spoke about West Virginia or 10 or whatever it was. Because frankly, it was my decision to walk. It wasn't anybody else's. When I left West Virginia, I said I'm leaving. Then they started coming at me about 10 years later. I said, screw you, I'll come back at you. That's what we're going to do. But the truth of the matter is, adult make decision. Adult make decision. Adult live with decision. Adult adjust to result. That's it. That's it. And all these little posers out there and all these little people can kiss my backside. That's the world we live in. You're an adult. This is your decision. You make your decision. Oh, man, it went great. Oh, man, it went bad. Don't whine about it. That's why I always tell people when they take my gambling advice, I'll give you gambling advice. I'll give it to you. I will give it to you. But I don't want to hear you whining. You're an adult. That's what I tell my kids. My son got mad at me playing golf the other day. He got mad at my brother and I because we were talking. I go, don't do that little bitch stuff. Don't do that crap. You know what? Hey, look at us and say, fellas, you're talking in my back. Hey, don't start going, you guys need this. No. And he's like, you know what, Dad? You're right. You're right. Jesus, do I got to teach a course on how to be men? I think I do. I think I got to teach a course on being men. I do. I think I do. I think I must teach America how to walk like frickin' men. Jesus. Well, they got to be trained. Well, poor Rory, my ass. Rory McIlroy made the choice. Rory McIlroy got his information from the commissioner, made his choice, did his deal, got burned. You know what? Tough. T-O-U-G-H. T-U-F-F. Tough. Jesus. A woman, a college student, I like this story. We got to get into this. Alleges she was failed by a gender studies professor for using the term biological woman. I'm telling you, these professors are nuts. I got video here. I'm going to give Ryan and Dylan a chance to find this video. It's right there. But I love the fact that, hey, I can't say biological woman. Man, colleges are crap holes. What do you got? You got the video?
I got a 0 on a project proposal in my class because I used the term biological women, which is apparently not allowed anymore. She even said it was a good project proposal, but I got a 0 because I used this term and it's exclusionary and not allowed anymore, so. And I 100% know that this is like the most biased grade ever because my project is about transgenders competing in biological women's sports. How am I supposed to do my final project if I can't use the word biological women? But that's what my project is about.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine a friend of mine's wife, very popular woman that you all know, called me after the show on Friday and said, how about the crap coming out of your mouth that you got to talk about? You got to talk about a college student getting an F because she said biological woman. Like, I understand you give someone an F if they drop a slur. I understand if they start swearing. I understand if they're an idiot. Clearly, this woman is not an idiot. But a biological woman is not allowed to be said in college. I don't know where to go with any of this. I honestly don't. Hey, sad news out of Major League Baseball. Jacob deGrom, he of the massive contract the other day, he's going, well, at 35 years old, he's got Tommy John surgery. You know, I'm telling you, I don't know that I would ever sign a starting pitcher to any kind of big money. I'm sure I'm wrong. I'm sure the analytics say that I'm wrong. But man, every single guy has to get Tommy John surgery. And when you're 35 years old, now you got to sit out basically the rest of this year, most of next year. God dang, with this massive hundreds of $1 million contract, this is what you paid for with deGrom. deGrom since 2019 has only had 12, 15, 11, and now 6 starts, and the Texas Rangers decided that they were going to give him big buku money. Now, Danny Plesac, Major League Baseball Network and friend, came on the show and said, look, deGrom may be the most talented pitcher that I've ever seen, but this sucks for him. I hate this. I'm not happy with this kind of stuff. But it happens, and we must move along. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Doug Gottlieb is going to join us. I got to get into a lot of stuff with Doug. First, I will get into Live Tour stuff, but I'd mostly like to get into, would he go if Kyrie Irving called? LeBron James is being called by Kyrie Irving. Is the great dynasty over? What dynasty, you ask? The Golden State Warriors, because, well, Draymond Green's a clown. Stay here, Gottlieb next.
Welcome into OutKick the show. I am Clay Travis, your fearless leader.
I am going to continue to argue that sports is one of the great unifying forces in all of American life.
ESPN is a sinking ship. Democrats are now the party of the white, woke college graduate.
We live in a land of participation trophies.
You gotta lean into the turns. You really gotta lean into the turns.
When Leah Thomas walked in that first day, it got silent, and every girl was uncomfortable.
Very difficult to go back-to-back years in the NFL with the #1 overall pick.
I've been out of LA long enough to have forgotten that libs, no matter how ridiculous the scenario, are gonna lib. Another week of inflation, another week with Biden with COVID, and another set of losers to crown. People don't watch the WNBA on TV, in person, on a plane, on a train, on a bus, or on purpose.
The scary thing, Tommy, is in the history of this government, I've never seen them give anything back that they've taken.
Oh no, they never do.
And they won't.
We've seen coaches throw water bottles. We've seen coaches act like idiots. We've seen coaches slap other coaches. But I think if you're involved in carjacking, you're inherently a rotten human being. The level of stupid that sometimes gets on our YouTube chat just gives me a headache. You're born a male, play with males. You're born a female, play with females. Don't at me about it, people.
I believe this person is the greatest player anybody alive will ever see. How can you hate Derek Jeter? A guy's on-base percentage tells me his batting eye, and a guy's slugging percentage tells me if he's a threat. That's the kind of guy that throws a no-hitter, that effectively wild guy.
All right, the great Doc Gottlieb, I tell you all the time, no one I'd rather talk hoops with, anything with, actually, because Doug's going to let you know he's informed, he's smart, and, very handsome man here in the morning, coming at you from L.A. Hey, Live Tour, the announcement yesterday, my take is, hey, good for everyone, man. The players are going to get fat. If you made a moral decision, hey, don't worry about the money. You made a decision based on morality. That's kind of the abridged version. I want to hear your take. What's your take on it?
Well, I mean, I would love to know that conversation that that they had with Tiger and Rory and the other guys that turned down the LIV money, right? Only now to merge with them. It's a pretty good guess that whatever was going to become public in Discovery is one of the things that triggered this. But we are in this state in not just 2023, but you and I talk college athletics all the time. You know, we can talk about Aaron Rodgers and his push to leave the Packers, which he's not the first superstar to do so. We could go to basketball and LeBron James wasn't the first superstar to, as a free agent, leave his home team or even his hometown. But I mean, can't we say that loyalty is lacking in our sports world? And that there actually is none, right? Teams jump conferences, they fire coaches, they get rid of players. We have an inability to stay true to our word and our commitment over who we're connected to. And I think that, the pendulum generally swings. It has swung way in the lack of loyalty. Hey, just get what you can when you can sort of variety. I think ultimately it'll swing back, or maybe those of us who truly believe in it and live by it, I think we may be more rewarded than in the past, but it doesn't feel that way today because the almighty dollar does in fact win. And everything that the PGA Tour said up until this point becomes not just lip service, but hypocritical lies because of what they've done.
Folks should be pissed, right? There's a report that a golfer told Rory McIlroy to F off. McIlroy told some player to, the meeting got heated. You know what? Men do get that way. Men get mad. Men get emotional. Men go at each other. That's what we do. And then you know what? You go out and you play in a foursome and it's all good. I don't know. And it feels like, Doug, in about, 6 minutes, we're going to forget about this and move on to the next thing. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's interesting, right? The timing. Next week, the U.S. Open is in Los Angeles at the LA Country Club. And, all these guys will be there, and there'll be some uncomfortable questions. But I do think that we can say that the combination of these two with the influx of the money, regardless of where it came from, the PGA Tour is going to be pretty healthy. And let's also be honest, PGA Tour needs it. They actually need the shot in the arm. They need the attention, even if it's negative. Like, look at the numbers post-Tiger. why would you watch unless you're a hardcore golfer, dude? And what Tiger did for the tour was he opened up doors that were never previously opened to the TV companies that partnered with the PGA because the numbers were so different. So in many ways, this is what is needed. The game does need to grow. I don't know if it does grow it because middle America sees it as just corporate greed and will take money from whoever. But I do think that the attention that's going to be garnered and the talk of golf when no one's, I mean, honestly, Double D, do people even know who won the Masters? Do people won't know who won the PGA? I mean, you and I do because it's our job and we like golf. But like compared to when Tiger was competing and Tiger was playing, it was, did you know necessarily who won? No, but you know how Tiger did. The PGA was just a couple weeks ago. I would challenge most people to a guy on the street to say, hey, who won the PGA? Who won the Masters this year? They wouldn't know. So in some ways, this is really good. Any attention is good attention, or any press is good press. And I think that is something that golf is going to feel over the next month or two. Let's see how they use it and if they can use it to benefit in the future.
I've always said there's nothing better than a Sunday afternoon to fall asleep to. You know, it's Sunday afternoon, you turn it on, you mow your grass in the morning, play golf, whatever, and then come home. I did it on Sunday. Doug, this is going back, and you're the perfect guy to talk about this with because you understand this. Going back in the NBA, and I'm going back, you had to get through a team. Like Boston had to get through Moses Malone, and the Pistons had to get through Boston. The Bulls had to get through the Pistons. Even here in Indy, when just to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, when the Pacers finally beat the Knicks, it was like, ding dong, the witch is dead was the call by Mark Boyle. You always got to get through stuff. The Heat have been there. The Heat, are kind of there. Are the Nuggets a real group that can overcome losing at home? Are they real on this stage?
Well, it's the old, you have to feel the pain before you taste the champagne, right?
Right.
And how many teams, you have to have that devastating loss. And for the Nuggets to not have played the Warriors, right? Because that's usually the way it used to work. You have to vanquish the Warriors before you can go win the championship. And they didn't have to do that. No, they have not. They have skipped a step, right? They went to the conference finals and lost to the Lakers when you're in the bubble. And then Jamal Murray was hurt. And last year they lost early. Okay? But so you make a great point. And historically, that's how it's been. Now, recently it hasn't been that way nearly as much because LeBron built a super team, right? Where I mean, that's one of the things that no one talks about when he went to Miami. Like Cleveland was the best team in the East. So he pulled out all the chair legs from Cleveland, goes to Miami, joins forces with Dwayne Wade. And then Toronto was a playoff team, and you took their best player and you formed a super team so you could skip steps, right? And got to the finals, and they just had to overcome he had to overcome the mentality of the finals. And then they added Ray Allen. They got rid of Mike Bibby as their point guard, and they became a championship team. So that has changed for the most part recently, but you are correct. So we don't know how they would react. I think that what the other part is, we have to see what Mike Malone does in this situation, right? He's played this underdog card. And the other thing that they do that traditionally you haven't been able to win a championship doing is play fast. And defense is a secondary part of what's allowed them to become a champion. Right? If you look back at when the Warriors first won their NBA championship, everybody talks about Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, but the first two championships, they were the number one ranked defense based upon analytics. Okay? Now, it slipped some with KD because they were so good offensively, and it slipped some, obviously, going back to last year, but part of it was that in recent years, you haven't had to play the best teams, right? Like, the best teams in the playoffs this year, frankly, the Clippers, but Paul George was hurt. Kawhi got hurt after game 2. It wasn't the same team. You go back and you look, and the Memphis Grizzlies didn't have all their guys. They beat the Lakers if they're healthy. Even the Phoenix Suns, I don't know how they do against Denver if Chris Paul is fully healthy. But the point is that Denver's defense has always been a secondary part of what makes them a very good team and a championship caliber team this year. So can they bounce back from a home loss when they haven't faced adversity like this at this level before, to your point? Can they win with offense as opposed to defense? And if you look at why the Jazz, I mean, I don't know how much you've talked about this, but not the Jazz, why the Heat are so much better. Right? They were 27th in three-point shooting in the regular season, 27th. They shot 34% for the season. They're shooting over 39% in the playoffs. Now, part of that is you remove Tyler Hero, who's more of a mid-range, one-on-one, and you add in, Duncan Robinson playing more minutes. It opens up the floor more, and they become a better shooting team. Some of it is also they're just playing out of their mind shooting the basketball. But the true genius to what Spoelstra's been able to do, not just with the zone, but what the zone brings is slowing the tempo of the game. Okay? If you're an inferior team, you want to play with fewer possessions and shoot more threes. That's what they're doing. They're 17 of 35 from three, nearly 50%. You're not losing games like that. Plus, the Nuggets only had 86 possessions last game. Normally, they're in the mid-90s. So you have 10 fewer possessions. And then the last part is there's a little bit of an outlier what happened in the fourth quarter. Okay? In 19 possessions in the fourth quarter, in Game 2, the Miami Heat scored 36 points. That's the best quarter either team has had in over 2 years in the NBA, counting meaningless regular season games. So they played at such an obscene level and at a slower pace because, again, historically, the pace slows in the NBA playoffs. It slows in the NBA finals. It becomes about getting defensive stops, which is playing slow and getting defensive stops are not the strength of the Denver Nuggets. So to answer your question, no, this is not a traditional path for a championship team to not face the adversity or feeling the pain before you taste the champagne. And we're going to find out a whole lot about their championship makeup when we get to Game 3 and Game 4 in Miami, if they can bounce back from it.
One of the fascinating things that I watch is how inept teams are against the zone. I mean, you should be able in the NBA to rip a zone apart. Defensive 3 seconds allows the middle to be open. I watched Duncan Robinson back left side, and he basically plays at a wing, and there's never anybody filling in behind him. The middle, you would think Jokic, but their body and it's astounding to me. You got a lot of money in head coaches. You got a lot of money in analytics. You got a lot of money in scouts, and a zone seems to befuddle NBA coaches, Doug.
It's really amazing, right? And it's because they haven't coached against it. And it's really fascinating to see, for example, the Denver Nuggets, they're kind of doing a little bit. It's better than what Boston did because they have a big guy that can move and facilitate and get Bam away from the basket. But, I mean, just trying to attack with a ball screen and create a mismatch and then overloading the weak side, that should be part of it. Watch these European teams and how they attack zones because in Europe, you can't tell what's a zone, what's a man. Granted, the defenses are different, and you still get those attacks. But, what happens is you bring it up the court and you stop and look and go, okay, it's zone. Now we have to go to this action instead of flowing right into it. It really is amazing, Double D. If you look back the past couple years, Ty Lue, when they made a little playoff run despite their injuries a couple years ago, he would use zone, but he'd use it a lot like Spo, right? Use it in the second half because in the first half you use it, then you can adjust to it at halftime and discuss it. So I think it's brilliant what they're doing. I do think it's alarming how poorly coached so many NBA teams are against the zone. And again, you can put in things and attack in short order and fix some things and clean some things up. But it's really hard when you played 100 games before your 101st game to go oh, hey, guys, now we're going to do this something different. This is something you have to prepare for all year. This is something you have to put in and work in all year. And I think a little bit the Celtics and the Nuggets are getting a little bit depantsed by Eric Spoelstra putting in a zone. And what the zone allows them to do is keep Duncan Robinson on the floor, right? Keep Bam Adebayo near the bucket. Two really simple things because you have guys that can't guard or you want to guard the rim. And I think there's genius to it. And let's see what Denver can do to react. Because in game one, it wasn't great, and they got away with it because Miami couldn't make a shot. In game two, Miami made every shot, and they couldn't get away with being below average against the zone. Let's see what happens tonight.
Hey, Doug, before I let you go, I saw this, and this has to be agents. You're out there in L.A. LeBron's out there in L.A. Kyrie Irving is trying to bring people. Is this a non-story? Is there anything with this and to this?
No. I mean, like, listen.
No.
I mean, just like whether you like LeBron or don't like LeBron, okay? For the next 12 months, he is not moving from Los Angeles. Okay, he is not moving from Los Angeles. He is not. His one son plays at USC. His other son and daughter are now transferred to Campbell Hall. Okay, so a guy who on every off day goes to one of his kids' sporting events or hangs out with his family, he's not moving. He's not leaving. Okay. And by the way, we're discussing the whims and desires of Kyrie Irving. Need I remind you that Kyrie Irving is the same guy who, when they went into the bubble on a league-wide call, said, "Hey, why don't we start our own league?" Right? Kyrie Irving was the guy who, when they hired Steve Nash, said, "We don't really need a head coach. We don't really need a head coach." Right? It's Kyrie Irving. The earth is not flat. Hey, LeBron James is not going to Dallas. Hey, Dallas has a terrible roster built around two incredible players. And anything that they want and they desire with nothing in return for the Lakers. Do you really think the Lakers are going to go like, hey, here's a thought. Let's trade LeBron James for very little in return and give a Western Conference foe who's never really challenged us a chance to win a championship? Like, that's a no. That's in the elevator pitch. Don't even get off the elevator with that pitch.
Right. I saw that, and I'm like, why would you as a media member make anything of this deal? Hey, last thing before I let you go, because I know how well-rounded you are. Does the fact that Messi is coming to the United States, does that move it for you? Is that a big deal for you? Do you think that? What's going on?
No, I mean, we've seen this, how many different former stars have come and done the money grab and grown their brand. And it's Miami, so it's an international city, so it fits. I mean, look, it's going to be good for attendance for the MLS, but it actually makes them an inferior product, right? It solidifies them as an inferior product, that this is where the older, can't compete superstars of the past go for one last money grab. So, yeah, it's like if you're a huge soccer fan, you've never gotten a chance to see him play. He's still amazing, just at a lower, different level, because the level of talent and athleticism it takes at the very highest level, he can't do anymore, but it's going to be hidden because he's playing the MLS. But I actually think if you really look at it, it does the opposite in terms of enhancing the viability on the grandest stage of the MLS, that we only get these players when they're at the end of the road, right? Call me when one of these guys mid-career says, nope, I want to grow it in America. Then things change.
I'm old enough to remember when Pele came over and played. They had huge crowds for a little bit, but then it went away when he was done. Hey, Doug, thanks, my friend. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Anytime, Dan.
Doug's on Fox every afternoon, 3 o'clock Eastern. You got to give him a listen on Fox. He's the smartest guy. You got to talk basketball. You got to talk with Gottlieb. Look, Messi is coming to Miami, and Doug is absolutely right. Let's be honest. Come on. Let's all look each other. I'm old enough. I remember Pele came to New York. Yeah. And there was, at that time, no more popular athlete than Pele and Muhammad Ali. They were here. They were Tiger Woods. I mean, they were maybe bigger than Tiger Woods, even at Tiger Woods' as big as those two. They were massive. But, I don't know how you feel about it, but an aging star coming over to the United States is great. And the people in Miami, again, Doug said it, international city, and everybody will be, it's great. It's awesome. But let's be honest. It would be great if that Christian Pulisic came back and said, hey, look, I want to help soccer here in the United States. That's what I want to do. I don't know. What do you want to do? Well, I would like to enhance soccer, not aging veterans. Aging veterans are great. They're fantastic. They're awesome. And it's going to sell some tickets. But there was talk that Messi was going to go make $400 million in Saudi Arabia. I don't know what's true or what's not true, but I'll say this. Messi, I'll watch. I don't know. If he comes to Chicago, I may go. Because, frankly, I feel guilty. I never saw Gretzky play. He's the one guy I never saw play in person that I regret. I wasn't old enough to see the Beatles in concert. Who is that for you? Who would it be for you? Dylan or Ryan? Send me a text. Anybody. Who would it be for you? Like, who did you not see play that you're like, man, I wish I'd have seen that guy play. I don't regret missing Barry Sanders. I don't regret I didn't go to a lot of NFL games. We didn't go. Sundays were great. We had family, that kind of stuff. But the fact of the matter is, the only guy that I really regret not seeing play is Gretzky. It'd have been fun to say, yeah, I saw Gretzky. I saw Joe Namath. I saw Walter Payton, two of the guys that I think are my heroes. I saw Bob Love, who is my ultimate hero. You don't even know who Bob Love is, none of you. Look him up. He was for the Bulls what Michael Jordan was, kinda. Not nearly as good, but damn good. I didn't care about Stan Mikita, Cliff Coral, Keith Magnuson, Bobby Orr. That didn't resonate, didn't care. But to me, it would be nice, I suppose, to see Ronaldo. It would be nice, I suppose, to see Messi, I guess. I mean, they're international stars, you know. Nick said Magic Johnson. That's a good one. Seeing Magic Johnson in person, the first thing you saw when you saw Magic Johnson in person was how big he was. You're like, holy hell, is this guy big? Jordan, how broad he was, how wide-shouldered he was. Jordan was like, I don't know, I mean, he was like thoroughbred, my kind of legs. You know, thoroughbreds like us, we've got the leg. But then he was this freaking wide. So Messi comes over. I'm interested because, frankly, I don't want to say, yeah, I never saw any of the great soccer stars. I never saw the greats of the day. Like, I don't consider any of those ladies on the U.S. women's team the great soccer stars. They got beat 12-0 by an old men's team. I had nothing with them. I don't think there's anybody. I didn't want to see Donovan, Landon Donovan, or nobody in the United States, but Messi would be different. My son was on the field as a volunteer when Cristiano Ronaldo came and sold out Michigan's Big House. And he said it was very cool. Very, very cool. Dylan says Peyton Manning, Hank Aaron. I saw Hank Aaron a long time ago. And here's the deal. When you're a kid, you don't really put it like, okay, we went to a Braves game. Yeah, it was like Dusty Baker and this, how old I am. Dusty Baker and left, Hank Aaron, Ralph Garr, these kind of guys. It was great. But the truth of the matter is, I don't know. I don't know. Couple of things to get to here. Good for Damar Hamlin. See, Damar Hamlin is a full participant, was in the OTAs of the Bills. Now, this is going to get tricky. You remember Damar Hamlin, the kid that fell out, got saved by the awesome people of the Buffalo Bills. Let me ask you a question. This is going to get tricky. I had a kid die at basketball camp. And I was wrecked. I think I told you this. He was with a team that came to my basketball camp. He had died a week or two before at another basketball camp, got revived. And his parents were like, look, we're going to let him live his life. They were very Christian people. They knew that he was going to a better life if, in fact, he passed away. But as a parent, that would be impossible for me. As a parent, if my son was on a field and he died, he was dead, and they revived him, it would be impossible for me to be fully supportive of him going back to playing. So Damar Hamlin is officially back, and I guarantee you he's got people in his family that are saying, look, you can't do this. Don't do this. I guarantee you there were people in his family that when Damar Hamlin was laying on that Monday night on the field were making deals with God. Please let Damar live. Please, blah, blah, blah. Maybe Damar himself internally, I don't know what the spirit is, but I just got to tell you, it would be very, very, very difficult for me to say to Mike, okay, wouldn't it be for you? Wouldn't it be like, man, I can't let him do it. I'm sorry. Now he's old enough. He's a grown man. He's going to make more money doing that, as I say all the time, than he could ever make doing something else. I get all that. I do. But God, would that be difficult for me? God, would that be hard for me? Man, would that be something where I'm like, wow. Wow. Dan, I saw Bird in person. All right. Grew up poor, just got to see some old Pacers game. Yeah, we didn't go to many games. Dan, move on. We don't care about soccer. I did. I did. I moved on. Chris Chelios is out. I mentioned it earlier at ESPN. Had a chance to meet Chris Chelios this winter. Benetti, myself, one of my players, the great Lenny Matella, his beautiful wife, and my beautiful wife. We all went to dinner at Chicago Cut. And Chelios was there celebrating, I believe it was his 50th, I think it was his 60th birthday. He looked terrific, not as good as this, but hey, he looked good. And we were talking about working at ESPN, and we both said, yeah, I don't know. It's all right. You sit around, it's okay. It's great. It's okay. Yeah, it's great. So Chelios is out. You're going to see more cuts of talent, and they're all going to be white people. I mean, there's reports by Andrew Marchand that Susie Culver, Steve Young, those kind of guys on those countdown shows are going to be out. Of course they are. There's no reason to keep Steve Young. There's no reason to keep Susie Culver. There isn't in the modern world of ESPN. So you're going to see a bunch of white dudes. I'm thinking about my buddy Seth Greenberg and Franny. I don't think they're going anywhere. ESPN, I told you Robbie Hummel is leaving. Well, he's going to NBC. I don't know the particulars of his contract, but Robbie is not going to be at ESPN, I don't think. I assume he'll continue work on the Big Ten Network. I assume his deal that is being worked out right now with NBC will include Big Ten Network games. That's what I assume. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just assuming that. So you're going to see a bunch of white dudes get gone at ESPN. ESPN were smart. They would take back their network. They would take it back. They would say, look, we're going to go with the best that we have. And that's going to include a lot of African Americans. That's going to include a lot of women. And that's going to include a lot of white dudes. But we're only going with the best of the best. And we're not going to be a racist. We're not going to support racism. I don't care if it's against black. I don't care if it's against white, Asian, whatever, Pan American, whatever the hell you want to call it. We're not going to support that. That's what ESPN has the opportunity to do right now, but they're not tough enough to do it. They have totally sold out. And if you're worried about L. Duncan, here's what I would do as Jimmy Patero or Norby Williamson. I would fire L. Duncan. If L. Duncan or any of the talent at ESPN makes you nervous, I would fire him. Because we're ESPN. You're interesting because you're on our network. I could go anywhere and be interesting. L. Duncan can't. We saw Carrie Champion. She and Jamel Hill tried to do a deal. They're not interesting. Hot, Carrie Champion. Jamel Hill, obviously not. And they tried because they were on ESPN. Carrie Champion was, Jamel Hill was. And so they thought because of being them on ESPN with a little bit of recognition, their podcast would blow up. It isn't. You got to be interesting like this. You can be ugly, but you got to be interesting like this. Serious. I mean, I'm just telling you. Interesting news from the world of college basketball. I wanted to get into this. You know all these NILs, right? NIL, name, image, and likeness, which has become pay for play. And pretty soon you're going to see schools sign contracts with players to make it actual pay for play, maybe a few years down the road. But Matt Ishbia, who is the owner of the Suns, the Phoenix Suns, also has given $50 million to the Michigan State University Athletic Department. Matt was a walk-on for Tom Izzo. Okay. Part of that is a collective he started where basically every student athlete, football, I think it's football, basketball, and volleyball player, gets a $700 a month stipend or up to a $700 a month stipend from him. He has now canceled that. He has now said, no, it's a conflict of interest. Well, it is if it's basketball. But he can still do football as the owner of the Suns. He could still do volleyball or softball or baseball. I don't even know if they have baseball. But whatever they got at Michigan State, he could still do that and not have a conflict of interest. But he has said, nope, I'm out. Interesting. Will more and more of these boosters who are giving their money to programs realize this is not a great investment? The name, image, and likeness may be. You get a hot player on your team and you put him on a billboard. That may be a good way to go. But just giving money for the sake of giving money, I don't know. You got to be a hell of a booster. Maybe you need a hell of a tax break. You got to be something to just give money. I am curious if this is all going to start going away a little bit, or is it going to get more? I don't know. But this is interesting. If I were a zillionaire, if I were a guy giving money to Indiana, a lot of it, I would want to know why Ishbia is out. I'm not buying the conflict of interest. I'm not buying that even a little bit. What I'm buying is he's like, yeah, this isn't worth my money. Got to understand, you don't become a billionaire by throwing dollars out the window. You don't become a billionaire by investing in things that don't make you money. That's how you become broke, investing in things where you lose money. Become a billionaire by seeing opportunity, seizing it, and having the guts to invest in it. You become a billionaire by seeing something, saying, yeah, I'm in this, but it's time to get out. That's how you become a bazillionaire. All right, we're going to come back. It's Wednesday. I got some stuff. I got some great stuff for What the Hell Wednesday. I mean, I'm going David Letterman, throwing things at the camera. I got some good stuff. We'll be right back. Oh, no.
So Jake Bird is a reliever for one of the worst teams in baseball, the Colorado Rockies, who are just horrible. And apparently this middle reliever who was called up for the called up to the big leagues for the first time this year. So he's toiled and worked his butt off. Decided he was going to pull a little old school, going to date myself, Al Hrabosky, and challenge and act like an idiot on the mound because he got an out. He did that against the Phillies. And in doing so, Bryce Harper took exception and went basically to the Rockies bench and said, let's fight. And I love it. I think it's awesome. I love, I don't know. I just love stuff because in baseball, there's a lot of fake tough guys. There's a lot of fake tough guys that talk the game, and then there's the tough guys are actually the guys that don't talk tough for the most part, like Pedro Martinez or Nolan Ryan. Nolan Ryan never said anything. He just threw 107 and put it in your ribcage if he didn't like you. Pedro would knock you on your ass at the drop of a dime. But I love that. I love guys like that. I love guys that are real and authentic. And Bryce is clearly a leader. And I since the day I met him I think I met him when he was like 12. It seems like his first year in the big leagues. He's always been a guy who's been vocal, but he plays the game and he's good. And the other stuff is the chromey stuff that's the modern day game and what they love and all the things that go with that. But the guy plays hurt, plays as hard as he can. And I think he gives it everything. And I loved it. I thought it was a great thing. I thought it was a good thing for the Phillies who need a little kick in the ass. And then there was he got ejected. Bird got ejected. Rockies won the game 4-0 to avoid a sweep. But none of that stuff matters. That's kind of the thing that you, I don't know about rally around, but it just cements the guys.
You know, Stephen A. Smith was on Fox News, and, I got to tell you, I'm owed an apology by the Indy Star and by Awful Announcing. They said I got fired. Look, you've seen it. You've seen people leave ESPN. You see me being the trailblazer, leave and get into the political realm because it's just better. Michelle Tafoya and others. I'm owed an apology. But first, ladies and gentlemen, we've got What the Hell Wednesday. You got to see, these are the wacky, like what, why? Explain this to me. All I want to know. Why are people so apt to hurt themselves? Let's watch this guy. This guy thinks he's like Nadia Comaneci or Olivia Dunn here.
You okay?
Hey,
you okay? I'm actually fine.
Honest to God. Like, all right, he says I'm okay. I'm actually fine. All right. So what? Why? You know, I don't get it. Do you get it? I'm going to the YouTube chat. I got to know on the YouTube chat, why do people do these things? I'm walking down the street, minding my own business. Hey, if I want to do a flip on something, you know, fine. But not when it's a crack this wide that you're going to fall down. Honest to God. I don't understand. It's like last week. Remember the golf ball guy was standing there and they hit him right in the packy? I don't understand how this is what we decide to do. I'm dumb. You're smart. I'm old. You're young. You're crazy. I'm sane. I ain't mad about it. You are. Kiss my backside. That's it. You got to see this guy. How about this guy? This guy pours bleach on his face.
Seal, bleach, let's go.
I don't know what. Let me ask you, Jen. What are you doing that for? What are you doing that for? Like, what is the point? What is the point? Seriously, I'm asking. I'm going to get some likes here, and then I'm going to become the guy that goes on something because I'm the guy that poured bleach. And not only that, he poured bleach on his face and kept his mouth open. Now, I don't know nothing, but I don't understand any of this. Keeping your mouth open. Like, all right, if I'm going to be dumb enough to pour bleach on my face, which I never would, I got to close my eyes, close my mouth, and put butt plugs in my nostrils because I don't want anything getting in there. I want nothing getting in here. But the dude pouring bleach on his face, God bless you. God bless you. Cows are running from cops, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, that's right. Cows not only are running for cops, but watch this one. They're going to kick some ass. Cows aren't messing around. So the cows are running. We got the running of the cows. I don't know what town that's in. I got to look. I don't know where the cops are from. But we got the running of the cows. Now, this isn't Pamplona. Pamplona, what does that say there? I can't read it. Police, I don't know what town. In Pamplona, of course, they run with the bulls. I think it's Pamplona, Spain. So they get running with the bulls, right? All right, we're running with the cows here in downtown hillbilly land. And next thing you know, the cow says, well, you know, I ain't about that action, boss. And if you want to take me, I'm going to whip your ass. This has Sean Penn in the 80s written all over it. Sean Penn, like every day, was assaulting a paparazzi. That's what this guy's doing. This cow is like, I think this is a paparazzi. I did not sign up for paparazzi to do nothing. Zero, zip, nada. So don't at me. I don't need this action in my life. It's pretty funny. Actually, it's very funny. Why are we pouring bleach on our face? Why? All right, here we go. Check this one out. This is just because. I don't know why. Look at this.
Oh, you all right? Being impeccable is not going against yourself. When you are impeccable, you take responsibility for your actions.
What the hell? I have driven I have been paying attention to my phone while I'm driving, and I have, I'm not going to lie to you. I have gone off the road, but I got to tell you, I've never done that in the middle of a neighborhood. I've never gone off the road in a neighborhood to the point where I wreck into a guy. Now, good for this guy that he stopped. I guarantee you there was a moment or 10 where this clown in the white car thought, oh man, I just killed somebody. I think I just killed somebody. No, I did. You know there was. And so this guy is like, oh my God, I can't believe I did this, to, oh my God, I killed someone, to relief. I guarantee you right now, as that guy, watch, he hits him, now he's going to get out. He's like, oh my God, I killed someone, I can't believe I did this, blah, 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 blah. Now he gets out thinking he may have mortally injured someone. And, relief. All right. Hey, don't go fast down hills. Don't go fast down hills is interesting. If you're going to go fast down hills, make sure you're good enough to skate on your skateboard or whatever it is that you got. Here you go. They go fast down hills. I got a busy tomorrow, but no, I mow on Thursdays because that's when the league goes. All right. The Apple Vision Pro is here. You will not believe its price. Let's go to the video. What are we paying for? Seriously. We pay a lot of money for a lot of freaking crap. Good for Apple. They're just taking Apple is like Vegas. They take every dime we have. Here's a little Apple Vision Pro video.
The Apple Vision Pro is here, and we're getting dangerously close to living in a real-life episode of Black Mirror. We do be loving the hottest new tech gadgets on the scene, but nobody, and I mean nobody, is gonna spend $3,500 to live inside their work computer. And nobody's gonna spend that kind of money to look stupid while doing it. And in this economy, I hunted down a few things that you can spend your money on instead. The golf bag scooter, for just $3,500, you can play through that annoying foursome with lightning speed. The tailgater's hammock, because folding chairs are for losers. An icicle that lets you bike through ice. Bills fans, this one's for you. This side table that your wife will definitely love. Or maybe you're a giant inflatable battleship kind of guy. Or you could spend $3,500 at the OutKick store and actually look cool.
See? Yeah, go to the OutKick store, get a Mowing League shirt, and send it to us, and I'll play it. I'm all in on it. See, Haley is awesome. Like, Haley should be followed on Twitter. Haley should be followed on TikTok. Haley is just spectacular because, look, $3,500, not only, she doesn't just say you shouldn't buy it, she gives you viable options. You know what I mean? I love it. And she's smart. I mean, this is genius. I love her. I mean, am I allowed to say that? I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but she's fantastic. And I'll tell you what, she'll drink beers with you too. Yeah, she will. At least with me and Lee. A great time. Sixth and Peabody. All right, Pete Davidson, ladies and gentlemen. Pete Davidson ain't happy, and for some reason, we in this country have started paying attention to Pete Davidson. I saw a commercial yesterday, and I went, what? What is Pete Davidson? Why is this guy on another commercial? I'll give him Taco Bell, but he was on another one. Let's hear from Pete Davidson.
Hi, my name's Pete Davidson. This message is for Daphne, thank you so much for making comments publicly that I didn't adopt a dog. I just want to let you know I'm severely allergic to dogs, so I have to get a specific breed. I'm only not allergic to Cavapoos and those type of dogs. And my mom's dog, who was 2 years old, died a week prior, and we're all so sad, so I had to get a specific dog. So why don't you do your research before you create news stories for people, because you're a boring, tired fuck you, and suck my dick.
End of message.
So PETA says the actor left this message on Monday for the organization's senior vice president of cruelty investigations, Daphne man, I don't know how to say this, Hachminovich. He got her name because she'd issued a statement expressing PETA's collective disappointment in Pete buying a puppy at a pet store. Pete ought to just shut the hell up on the voicemail. That Pete Davidson says comes from a place of grief. He says it comes from a place of grief. All right, there you go. Now, Christian Bale, apparently, I don't know, angrily tells Daphne to do her research before talking to media. So apparently, I don't know if Pete Davidson would qualify as a star. I don't. I don't know what he qualifies as. Certainly, he qualifies as a man that a lot of popular women want to have the sex with. So I guess that makes him a star. But Pete Davidson not happy with PETA. PETA not happy with Davidson. PETA not happy with Dakich. Dakich doesn't really care for PETA one way or the other. They have no impact on my life. So I don't know, but I do know this. Yay, rah, go fight, win, Pete Davidson. And PETA, you suck for releasing a voice message. That I will say. That I will stand by. Russell Okung is a former pretty good NFL player. I could not do this. Okung lost 40 pounds. He lost 100 pounds. He went on a 40-day fast. Jennifer, I want you to think about this. How many diets, Jennifer Van Pasterman, El Presidente, do I go on? A lot. So Okung decided he was going 40 days without food. All he did was drink water, stuff like that. You see him right there. You see the difference. Wow. Good for him. How did you do it is the question. The answer makes you not want to do it. When I go on a 36-hour fast, man, oh man, I can do it. I don't mind it. It's hard. Okay. I do feel better, and literally it's like the night before a colonoscopy where everything from my hair follicles comes all the way through my body, comes out the backside. You know what I'm saying. But anyway, good for him. All right, tonight, here's what they're going to try to do in Denver and actually in Miami for Denver against the Heat. Mike Malone is saying we got to be more disciplined. Mike Malone is saying we got to be faster. So when you watch tonight, bet the over. Who knows? You might want to bet the over. You bet the over if they're going to play faster and they play well faster. The Heat's going to have to match it, so it's not going to be a game in the 90s. Should be a game in the low to maybe double-digit hundreds. Yeah, I don't know. So bet the over. Pretty simple. Ford is recalling over 100,000 vehicles because of safety concerns. The reason I wanted to do this, I have a 2000, I'm not sure what year, maybe 12, 13 Mustang. It's red, it's beautiful. And every single month I get something from Ford, and I appreciate Ford doing this, saying, hey, here's the deal. You gotta bring this thing in, and your airbags suck. We're going to replace them for free. And every month I see it, and every month I throw it away. So good for Ford for caring about us. Good for Ford about recalling vehicles. Good for Ford. Also, I just got a $17 stock, whatever you call it, that went back into my Robinhood from investing in Ford. Yay, rah, go fight Ford. Yay, rah, kiss my backside. Tell me about wokadopies now, Dylan and Ryan and Nick. Who is wokadoping? Oh, yeah. Guess which one are called radical extremists by the media? This, again, goes back to my friend's wife who sent me the text or called me Friday immediately after the show saying, Dan, the stupid stuff that you have to talk about is amazing. On the left, we have that guy Wiener. He's a senator. He apparently wants anal sex with kids. I think I read that. I could be wrong. He apparently wants pedophilia to not have a bad stigma. He is a weirdo. Somehow he got elected. That's him on the left, and that's a traditional family on the right. Mom, dad, 2 kids coming out of church. And if you don't like the fact that they're white, shut up. I don't care. I know, they could be black, don't care. But even were they to be black, the ones on the left would be considered the modern day family. They are not. There is nothing modern day about this wiener guy. There is nothing modern day about these people dressed in drag. There's a sickness. I say this all the time. What kind of man wakes up and says, I want to twerk in front of children? I don't care if you're a drag. I played golf yesterday with a guy whose son is a drag queen. And he's like, Dan, you're absolutely right. He goes, my son will not perform and his friends will not perform in front of children. Children is one thing. The son is gay. He's got a partner. The children, you just don't do. Children should be off limits. Children and sex should never be in the same sentence. But we don't look at it that way. We want kids involved in this. Drag queens, great. Drag queens in front of children, awful. Modern family, nuclear family, we should celebrate it. Maybe we'll make July the Don't At Me Show Family Month, Family Pride Month. Because it's already taken. It's already about 10 days into July or June, so we can't do it in June, so we'll do it the other way. All right. What else you got? I love woke-a-dope. I do. Jeez. Let's have a look here. Let me get to it. 4 images sum up the current FBI better than any, no question. FBI, how about doing your job? How about just, I've had enough. You guys give me a headache. I remember when Frank Reich knelt. What are you kneeling for? If you can tell me what you're kneeling for, I'm all in. I will be all in. I will be all in forever. But why do we have to have this? 4 images sum it up. There you go. There you go. Few images sum up the current FBI better than this one right here. Yep, no question. Anti-white, anti-Christian. It's institutional. It really is. Look at this. Biggins, no pride, no nothing. You know what? It's like when Nancy Pelosi took a knee to an African-American woman wearing some kind of African smock and her old ass couldn't get up. It's just ridiculous. But it's the world we live in, and we got to keep fighting. Hey, we need a better world, no question. What else you got? I sound like Paulie Walnuts on Sopranos. What else you got? Oh, yeah, $14 trillion in reparations. Yeah, oh, that's great. I got to tell you, not one of my tax dollars is going to reparations. If that makes me whatever you want to make me, then make it so. I am pushing for $8 trillion for bald men, for the follically challenged. I feel like $8 trillion will get it. Cori Bush is an idiot. Cori Bush claims Republicans who are not woke are anti-black. She slams anti-woke Republicans amid a push for reparations. You just can't take her seriously. You can't take her serious. She does all that talking. How these people get elected, I have no idea. Remember, she is a Democrat. Remember, as the great Charles Barkley said, black people keep voting for Democrats, and black people keep on being poor. Cori Bush ain't fighting for nothing. You know what she's fighting for? So that people will get tricked and she'll get a new job. It's just the way it is. Hate to say it, whatever, just telling you, that's the world that we live in. Reparations, I'm not giving a dime. I'll go to jail over that one. No. Nope. Makes me bad guy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, tonight it is going to be fun. Oh, is Denver desperate? Oh, my God, blah, 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 blah. We'll have post-game reaction for you tomorrow on the NBA playoffs. We'll also continue the discussion on all things important in the world. Let me finish this show by going to the YouTube chat and seeing what else is out here. Pure stupidity, Al Sharpton's talking points. Dan, the best account on Twitter is the AOC press release. She said, if we just print $35 trillion and pay off our national debt, inflation will drop to 0. That, ladies and gentlemen, the AOC parody account is fantastic. The AOC parenting account is one of the great parody account is one of the great accounts. If we just printed 35 trillion, then we could be out of debt. We could have zero inflation. Yeah. All right. Man. Hey, Dan, imagine if the FBI, CIA, ATF, etc., hired only LGBTQ folks. They would own the internet. They would own the alphabet. And let me ask you another question. Why did Siri, my wife looks good in that picture, by the way, why did Siri just pop up? I didn't say, hey, Siri. I didn't say, hey, Siri, and next thing you know, she was popping up. I'm telling you, they're spying, they're watching, they suck. They absolutely suck. Thanks, everybody, for watching. I'm going to go down the list here real quick if I can find the list here. Where the hell did it go? I want to thank everybody. I need golfers. July 10th. I know it's expensive, but hey, you can write it off. I'll get you the EIN number. I'll get you the 501c. Let's go. I need golfers. Desperately. Please. DanDakich.com. DanDakich.com. Here's something interesting. Did you know that OutKick is at 996,000 subscribers? We're 4,000 away from 1 million. Damn, don't let us get going here. Don't let us continue. When Charlie comes on and we get in other shows, don't let us start dominating the world of common sense. Thanks, everybody. Have a great afternoon. Dakich is going to the bathroom.